So I'm going to pop it in sport mode now. It's when we get to see if that claim of 0 to 100 in 6 seconds, whether that is actually true.
Search AutoTrader.
Maserati has a storied history in motorsports and is renowned for producing some incredible road cars that enthusiasts throughout the decades have come to enjoy and love. But as with many premium manufacturers, the Italian brand has turned to the humble SUV to save it and ensure its longevity while making it more profitable. The SUV in question is the Levante next to me, but there's also a smaller version of the Levante coming called the Grecale. Now we've got the Levante with us today because Maserati has introduced a hybrid version of this model, and we decided to see what this is all about. It's important to distinguish the fact that the Levante hybrid isn't a hybrid in the traditional sense. You can't plug it in, and it's not really a self-charging series parallel hybrid as you might think. This is a mild hybrid setup, which means the 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which is paired with an 8-speed ZF-sourced transmission, also has a 48-volt starter generator unit, which has a small battery that recuperates energy under braking, and that is utilized to help make the car more efficient and improve its performance. The result is 246 kilowatts of power, 450 newton meters of torque, a 0 to 100 time that Maserati claim is 6 seconds, a top speed of 245 kilometers an hour, making it quite brisk. But the real benefit Maserati claim, this car being a mild hybrid, is the fact that it is 20% more efficient and lower in CO2 emissions than a V6 petrol version, and 6% more efficient than the diesel that this model actually replaces. Keen observers will note that the Levante has received a bit of a cosmetic update, most notably in its rear tail lights, which I think are a big improvement over its predecessor. I'm not sure about you. Up front, the car is dominated by the large Trident logo, and it certainly looks like a Maserati. If they had to design an SUV Maserati, well, that's what you'd expect it to look like, right? The side profile is dominated by 3 slats reminiscent of the Trident, and those have got a blue hue to them versus other models like the Trofeo have got a red hue to them. So this might look like a Maserati, but does it drive like a Maserati? So let's get the Levante GT Hybrid out on the road and see what it's like to drive. So here we are out on the road in the Maserati Levante GT Hybrid. And as I said earlier, to really test out a Maserati, it's one thing to look at it, sit inside of it, but to really test what a Maserati is made of is, obviously to drive it. So here we are out on the road, and I have to say I'm not feeling too much Maserati from this particular product, but I suppose that's what happens when you design something for a more mass market appeal. This is an SUV, it's got a 4-cylinder engine, so it's not going to feel like a Maserati, but it looks like a Maserati, and it certainly feels like a Maserati inside. In many ways, when you drive this car around, if you had to blindfold me and put me in the passenger seat, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you what I was in, which could be an insult to a Maserati for not being able to tell what it was, but it also could be a compliment because it feels like many of the other premium products with which it competes. Things like the BMW X5, the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, the Land Rover Range Rover Velar, the Audi Q8, the Mercedes AMG GLE, etc. They all compete with this product, and I have to say this car feels every bit as premium inside, but there is a bit of an elephant in the room, in the Maserati room, and that's the fact that this car's starting price at a shade over 2 million Rand is kind of okay. It's in the same ballpark as key rivals. I think the real problem comes in when you consider that this particular car that I'm driving is 2.750 million Rand with the optional extras ticked. So it's not a small chunk of change to own one of these things. And when you consider what else you can get for that money, you have to really want a Maserati in order to drive one of these things. But before we knock it, let's talk about the virtues of this car. And in many ways, I find this car to be really comfortable, quiet, and refined to drive. That's, I suppose, the benefit of air suspension and the fact that there's a lot of soundproofing going on in here. The general fit and finish is fantastic. You don't feel shortchanged. The infotainment system comes with all of the smartphone connectivity and integration that you might want. I've got my Android Auto connected right now. The central display here is semi-digitized, so the central section has got a digital element that you can configure to see whatever driving information you'd like, and on either side of that you've got an analog rev counter and an analog speedometer, which looks quite cool. The general design and layout, you're going to see a lot of leather, a lot of blue stitching, and just a general sense that the car is very well made. This particular model has even got a suede roof and side pillar lining here. The car is available with 2 premium audio systems. You can get a Harman Kardon, or in the case of this car, the even more expensive Bowers & Wilkins system, which works really nicely indeed. Bowers & Wilkins are among the best when it comes to in-car audio systems. But I can't shake the feeling when driving the Levante. This car has been around for quite some time now. Despite the fact that it's been updated, there are a lot of competitors in this segment, and you have to really enjoy the Maserati brand in general to go out and buy a Levante. I suppose it is for the enthusiasts, much as an Alfa Romeo is. But at the same time, the Maserati brand still holds quite a bit of weight in the premium sector. And when it comes to performance, a Maserati has to really get the job done. So I'm going to pop it in sport mode now. It's when we get to see if that claim of 0 to 100 in 6 seconds and the accelerative abilities that Maserati claim is very similar to the 6-cylinder model, whether that is actually true. Because at the end of the day, this is just a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a bit of assistance from a small hybrid system. So this car's got a torque converter, so it doesn't seem to have a launch control function. I have tried, but we can build boost against the torque converter and see how this thing gets from 0 to 100. Not too bad. I think it goes all right. It's not gonna set your pants on fire, but it's pretty fast. It goes pretty well. I think acceleration is very respectable, but that brings me to another bugbear with the car, and that is the sound. Now, Maserati say that this car sounds like a Maserati, and I'd have to disagree with them on that account. It sounds like a tuned 4-cylinder engine. That's what it is, and it's really difficult to get past that. And despite the fact that the powertrain is super well integrated with the ZF Source 8-speed gearbox and the 4-wheel drive system, you can't get away from the fact that at the end of the day, this is just a 4-cylinder engine. You don't get the same theatre, the sense of occasion, and the drama that you get from the 6 and 8-cylinder Maserati models. At the same time, there is an efficiency advantage, and I think the person who buys the Levante GT Hybrid is not necessarily after the oral delight of a Maserati. They want the look of a Maserati, they want the interior quality of a Maserati, and they want the cachet that comes with owning a product from a famed Italian manufacturer. And I suppose that's the real appeal of a Levante. Now, being a Maserati SUV, obviously they've got the styling and the interior quality, right? But practicality is also a big thing in an SUV. That's why people buy them. And this product does have an off-road mode button. I'm not sure if I would take my near 3 million rand Levante off-road, but there is a button that allows you to prepare the vehicle for an off-road excursion. So that is quite a good thing, I think. You can also raise and lower the ride height, so it should be able to get over a reasonable amount of obstacles. And of course, there's the Q4 all-wheel drive system. It should also endow it with a reasonable amount of off-road ability. When it comes to practicality, there's a 570 litre boot that managed to swallow our massive kit box this morning before filming, and that's quite impressive because the product that we put that kit box in this morning didn't really fit that, so it's quite a practical vehicle. The rear quarters offer a reasonable amount of room, but as in every review, I'm not the best judge of that because I'm short, and my judgment of headroom and legroom is not the same as a taller human being. But from my perspective, I had quite a bit of space in the rear of the car, and I think for the people using this for the school run and even using it on extended family trips, it's going to be spacious enough for the family. And because this car is quite expensive, there are quite a long list of features apart from the premium sound system and the infotainment system. We've got adaptive cruise control, we've got blind spot monitor, we've got lane keep assist, a raft of semi-autonomous driving functionalities that you would expect at this price point. So the car is very well kitted, and that's something that you really would expect at this price point, 2.75 million rand for this particular car. But there are options. So at your base price of just over 2 million rand, you can get a sportier package which replaces the chrome on the exterior of this vehicle and makes it black the vehicle out of bits, and you can get various sporty touches. Like this particular car has got carbon fiber door handles and various other optional goodies, and that's really what Maserati is trying to push, is the fact that the cars are quite customizable. There's a lot of paint options too. There's like a paint to sample program at Maserati too, where you can choose from a variety of colors. And I even saw an MC20 supercar this morning at Maserati Johannesburg that they had configured on the online configurator in a military style green, which was really weird, but it's kind of cool to know that you can get pretty much any color that you want and you can configure the vehicle, because at the end of the day you're paying quite a bit of money for it. So it's nice to know that there's at least a good amount of specification, loads of optional extras, and you can really make it your own. So should you buy a Maserati Levante hybrid? Well, I suppose if you were in the market for a Maserati Levante, you've already made up your mind. But the fact of the matter is, this car faces a lot of very competent competition. What it does have in its favor is the fact that it is quite a unique product. It's something that I think is often overlooked by people purchasing in this segment, but for those who have the car, I suppose it is something entirely unique. Having said that, those competitors are incredibly competent, and it's going to be difficult to justify buying the Maserati over many of them. Having said that though, there's nothing that, apart from the price tag, that has really struck me today that makes this Maserati a far inferior product to anything else out there. It feels quiet, comfortable, refined. It's got a load of features. It's well made. The performance is respectable. The fuel consumption, if you aren't in sport mode and driving it fast all the time, is pretty reasonable. You can get a sub 10 liters per 100 kilometers fuel consumption figure. So the product itself is not a bad product. It's a good product. It just faces competition, and I'm worried that it may get lost in a sea of competent competition. But if you are shopping in this segment, it will be super interesting if you go and test drive one of these and see how it compares to the established competitors within the segment. So you might be asking yourself, why did we position a Levante outside an abandoned fuel station? Well, we saw it as a fitting metaphor for the way that the internal combustion engine is going. See, we spoke earlier about the sound of this Levante GT hybrid and how it just doesn't sound like a Maserati should. And that's really a common theme throughout the automotive world. The internal combustion engine is on its way out, and I suppose we should enjoy it while we can. And that's going to do it for us this week, guys. Don't forget, if you're looking to buy or sell your car, remember to search AutoTrader. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so, it helps us a lot. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Remember to comment below. Let us know what you'd like us to drive next. Until next time, cheers.
Are you looking for a car? Don't want to break your budget? Introducing Search by Estimated Repayments. Our new search feature makes it so easy to find the perfect car, one that suits your pocket. Search for the brand you can trust. Search AutoTrader.